All right, guys. I wanted to follow up a little bit on one of my videos recently where I was talking about us needing to confront, I guess, the freedom of speech absolutism perspective problem. My main thesis on this is that if you don't have some checks on freedom of speech, you end up exactly where we are right now. And that's not getting any better anytime soon. In a better world where we have adults in the room in the places that matter, if we have journalists that are checking things and that are making sure that there's some sort of standards for what's reported on, that's one thing. If you have people in government that actually stand up for the rights and freedoms of people and the rule of law and have a commitment to truth, that's one thing. But that's not where we are right now. It really isn't. It's alarming to me when you have people like J.D. Vance going to Europe, and he's basically making, and I want to say Greenland and Europe, a while back in the beginning of this recent presidency. And he was complaining about some of the restrictions on freedom of speech, especially in regards to social media. His advocacy is he claims to care about freedom of speech, but what he's really saying, without being honest about it, is they're mad that there are some restrictions on the ability to spread misinformation, disinformation, and predominantly hate speech. These people have understood now that they have been able to weaponize certain kinds of speech in places where it's been more permitted, mainly in the United States. Like, they're spreading literal Russian talking points. They're spreading misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, and riling people up, and then doing this massive lie campaign about the Democratic Party. There's like a whole bunch of crazy conspiracies. And what do you get? In America, you get elections that sway to the right. In parts of Europe back in like 2016, 2020, you had this shift to the right. And then since people have actually started to see the harms of what the right-wing governments do, especially the Trump regime, we have a shift back to the left, and it's not really left, or it's left of the fascists, yes, but it's more center right. Like, liberals have won the day in certain elections in Australia and Canada. So that's my concern. I am not saying like I want speech to be policed for all speech. I'm saying I think we need to have restrictions on hate speech. I think we need to have restrictions on outright propaganda, that, we cannot allow for the spread of misinformation and disinformation. We have to have a commitment to the facts. And I think media should be largely publicly owned, and there needs to be strict standards, and there should be like ethical boards, and there should be people that are highly committed, and there should be independent oversight. So that way, like, I'm not saying like you don't have, like, I'm not saying you block all the opinions from people that are like, conservatives and communists and stuff like that. Like, there should be broad spectrum of actual discussion on the merits, but it is harmful to society when you don't check hate speech, when you don't check misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda. Like, you can't have the spread of insane conspiracies come mainstream. And that's how the right-wing fascists have managed to dominate the media space, because media is largely owned by right-wing billionaires that have a financial interest in all of this stuff. They feed off of the disinformation, they feed off despair, they feed off the destruction of parts of society. So basically get more power, more control for less money. It becomes easier for them to Like, if you eliminate a lot of the checks on their power, checks on their bad business practices that are largely fraudulent, they don't like that. So that's what Doge was about primarily. It's about stealing our information, because information is money. Public information is money. That's a product. We are the product in that scenario. But when our security is undermined, we also have to pay more for what? Like, things that should be free, they should be, our government should be protecting us. In the future, who knows what's going to happen? I don't know if, like, we're going to actually have to have, like, our own private security to ensure that we're safe from roving mobs of, like, fascists, gangsters. Like, we already have ICE going around, and we have people that are posing as ICE going around. I don't know how many of these guys in ICE are, deputized insurrectionists, Klansmen, Proud Boys, and the other Nazi groups. I don't know. Like, there's a problem with right wingers get control of government, and you watch what they do. Everybody complains about, like, the left wing parties that have won in the past, but they completely overlook the fact that, like, the damage was done by dictators. That's not the socialist movement that was the problem. It's not the communist movement that was the problem. It's dictators. It's people that misuse their power. They were not actually following any of the edicts that fit within socialist or democratic socialist practices, communist practices. So, like, understand your fucking history. But, like, fascists, they have never been a positive force in the world, fucking ever. There's no examples of that. Like, you might try to point to, like, the jobs created by what? The fucking military? No, fuck off. Anyway, so there's a problem with freedom of speech, absolutism, absolutely. So you have to be careful about that. Like, the people that I, have a lot of respect for, like Kyle Kulinski, like he has said, who has the Secular Talk show, and he does the Crystal Kyle and Friends. I think he's got a great political mind, and I think he's done a lot of great things. But I would argue that I think he's missing the boat on this one about the harms that freedom of absolutism, that approach can cause problems. And like he says, the only, the solution to, free bad speech is more speech. I don't know about that. I really don't. Not when there's not significant checks on that. Like, the left doesn't have any advantage at all in a system like the ones that we have today, when billionaires have too much control. And the people that they get into power do not check their power. If anything, they always give them more power. The left doesn't have a counterbalancing component to that, other than, like, a lot of people, but, like, our speech can be suppressed. Like, it's really easy for us to get siloed, and we don't get any views. And if we're not getting significant views, and people don't really see the value in what we have to offer because it's being suppressed, how do we counter that? How do we counter with more speech if we're being silenced? And we're watching as our rights are being taken away, our personal freedoms and our personal liberties being taken away, our bodily autonomy is being taken away, and they're acting with outright authority to just do whatever the hell they want outside the law. So where's the check? Just curious. You guys, let me know your thoughts. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you agree, or if you have alternative ideas here. I want a discussion, because this is something that we have to discuss now, and we have to consider going forward. Even if we do beat back the fascists, we have to be thinking about this, because this is the point where they can start to eke their way into the system and change people's minds, not for the better. So we have to be considerate of the fact that there are more weapons than just weapons of physical violence. Speech can be a weapon. It just depends on who that weapon is trained on. And at the moment, it's on all of our throats.